Hello and welcome to Portman Road. This sound indicates an important announcement.
Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to the first Talking Town Extra Time. Talking Town's got so big it needs its a second show. Absolutely crazy. Welcome in. I can see the comment section is already flying off. And what a really busy 24 hours it's been for the football club. Notoriously does naff all on transfer deadline day, but several things have happened. We've had, of course, what kicked everything off was the post on TWTD in regards to the manager. Does that still apply? Is he still facing the sack almost, as it was reported, with different managers being sounded out? Or has he been backed? We've had several transfers arrive, players leave out on loan, and of course we'll end the show with an on this day look. In the year 2000, we signed Marcus Stewart for £2.5 million. So what's your favourite Marcus Stewart moment? We'll get into that towards the end of the show. Facebook user Parrott is an exciting prospect, but don't want another Norwich lover at the club already. Got Lambert, and that's bad enough. Lee Bayliss, 2 more loanees. See if he plays them or has them on the bench. Rob Pooley, Matt's a really, really good signing. Google user, evening all, what's this? No takers today for early playing stuff. As always, we want to see you guys involved. Though I will be posting a link very shortly. You're more than welcome to jump on and have your say on all that's been going down at Portman Road in the last 24 hours. Or, of course, you can get in on the chat. Callie, does this count as an emergency pod? I know a lot of Twitter people love that. Well, do you know what? You can call it whatever you like. Emergency pod, or what have you. Joining me this evening is first and foremost this man. Stephen Thomson, how you doing?
Oh, well, yourself?
I'm very well, thank you. A busy 24 hours at Portman Road. The Crunch is egging to get in on the show. He'll be coming in shortly. But a real busy way to end the transfer window. Not something you're used to as a Town fan, is it?
No, not at all. I've grown used to, sitting there with my pipe and slippers and just watching deadline day roll over. But some decent signings today, I think. Although loans, but,
Really? Oh, I don't think there are. Well, we'll get into that. But, of course, bringing the team to a 3-man team is the king of spin, the king of positivity. Can he be positive this evening after Town have made a few shrewd signings, Steve says? Let's find out.
Wake up to the money, turn me right on. You look like you got dressed with no lights on. I'm Superman that spin like a cyclone. Fit check, spin like a cyclone. Wake up to the money, turn me right on.
Yeah, but we're crap. We're not going to dominate any team.
Is that about to change, Mr. Mowles, with the influx of signings?
Probably not.
Fuck, he's nailed it. He's nailed it early. The Lanks, great music.
No.
Dawn Sapseed, welcome in.
Basically, there was someone that posted and said Parrott will get us to the championship. And someone said that basically to him, you obviously haven't seen what Service is going to get. And that person who commented that is not wrong.
This is it. So let's start off by chirping up about the arrival of Troy Parrott. There you go. I've said it earlier. That's as far as I'm going to go with the bird puns. So, Troy Parrott has arrived on loan from
Is he going to be flying high?
He may well be flying high.
Or will he get in a flap?
I will set my stall out nice and early, okay? We have somehow managed to find the only striker with a worse goal-scoring record than Aaron Drinan. I didn't think that was possible. Sat here yesterday. Be
another feather in his cap.
That's ruffling a few feathers.
So he's arrived from Tottenham. He had his loan spell at Millwall cut short. He's only 18 years of age, but he hasn't scored a career goal yet. He's had a few appearances for Tottenham. He's had a few appearances for Millwall, but hasn't grabbed a goal. So this is where I sit with it. And you guys, and I want the people on the show, the links in the chat. If you disagree with me, that's fine. That's the whole point of the show, to conversation it, have a chat about it. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Our season is teetering on a knife's edge. Okay, some will say it's already over. Some, the more optimistic people like myself, will say it's teetering on a knife's edge. If the question this morning in the boardroom was, our season's in jeopardy, but we need a goal scorer, I question if this was the answer. Because if Troy Parrott is the answer, the question I just put to you wasn't the question they've asked themselves this morning. Because he's not the goal scorer, Steve. He's not going to... where's the statistical proof to say to me, Martin, don't worry, we've got a 600 goal striker, to pluck a number, coming to the football club?
Well, he's obviously not a prolific goal scorer right now, but who's to say that won't change? You know, I mean, a year in or a spell in League One could be good for him if he's been training with the Spurs first team. You know, fair play to him. But I'm quite excited about it because I think it could be a good watch. We've had strikers in the past who, found their shooting boots when they got to us. So, yeah, I'm excited about it.
This is it, right, Neil? As Jack says, what we've signed is a football manager legend. And as I said earlier on Twitter, well, in that case, somebody get me Freddie Adu's mobile number then. Because football manager, basically, let's break it down, is players that have been rated on by a fan. But it's an opinion of a fan. And some fans in this chat here today will tell me, no, Neil, Armando Dobra is Lionel Messi reincarnated.
Basically. We're going to the FM thing. That question you asked about Steve and the whole transfer day. That was me thinking of the question, do you want to take part? As an Ipswich Town fan, it's pretty much we're never involved, are we? You've clicked no on that one.
You have, but we have not this year, Neil. We have taken part. I'm just questioning why we've taken part.
You're really not keen on these, are you?
No, it's probably going to come through today's show. We'll get to Luke in a bit, but somebody like Lee Anderson here, was Murphy prolific before he arrived at Town? Well, actually, yeah, compared to Troy Parrott. I mean, it scored 14 goals for Sunderland. It scored 14 for Waterford. Like, you might say Waterford's not the greatest level in the world, but he still scored 14 for Sunderland. If you're telling me Troy Parrott had scored 6 for Millwall this year, I'd be...
He's a fair bit older than 18, though.
Well,
he's only still a young kid, isn't he? He's going to find his shooting boots, and if he learns the trade through us, I'm fine with it.
In certain circles, he's highly rated.
He is highly rated, but we've got Simpson, we've got Brown.
He's higher rated than Simpson and Brown.
Cruncher, what do you think about Troy Parrott?
He comes from a better background than both of those as well.
Happy Marcus Stewart Day.
Yes, happy Marcus Stewart Day. And we will get onto that towards the end of the show. It is a great moment in Town history. But here we are talking about an 18-year-old player as if he's going to save a season.
He's got the same number of goals as you.
Hey, we're back in business. Get the agent on the blubber. Pay rise incoming.
I heard that Keenan Bennett was the next Gareth Bale. I've heard Troy Parrott's the next Harry Kane.
Anthony Georgia was the next.
Yeah. Parrott might be a good young striker. He played 14 games for Millwall and scored no goals. He's a young lad, but a lot of it, Martin, it comes down to the system. If he's shoved up front on his own, it's just going to be the same old, mate.
See, this is where I sit. I'm with Sean, and people are saying, "Oh, we're writing him off already." Look, 3 p.m. Saturday afternoon, I'll be praying and hoping he gets 3 goals a game for the next 3 months, like anybody else. I'll be praying it. But to ignore statistical data when you've got it is just stupid. And as Sean says, needs someone to score goals now, not in the future. Like, I don't care if he's the next Harry Kane. I don't want the next Harry Kane because I'm not going to benefit from that crunch. I want somebody now.
It's like you said earlier.
It costs money, though.
Go on, Neil.
If you want the prolific 30 goals a season man, that's going to cost you an absolute fortune, and we're not going to do it.
You look at players in this league. Jeff Cott at Plymouth. You've got Piggott, scores goals at AFC Wimbledon. He would cost 500k, maybe less. You've got, I see today, Charlie Kirk, 500 grand to Charlton. It all comes down to the recruitment, and our recruitment is absolute shit. So I've got a statement here, Martin, from August 19 that Paul Lambert said. It was off, see it on Twitter, but someone sent it to me. I could say to Marcus, forget the stadium, forget the kids. We'll just keep going with 6 or 7 loans and just try and win games. I'm the wrong person for Ipswich if that's the case. I may as well just pack my bags and go home. So what are you doing now then?
This is it, yeah. And Ben Moore says it here. Parrott is the same age as Brown and Simpson. We are hurting our youth in our own academy. Matheson can be good, but why not give Crowe a chance? Now, I want to stick on Parrott just for a moment because, look, as I said earlier, if we're keeping Caden Jackson and you're adding him into the rotation, I'm a little bit better about it. But this morning, at some point, it was looking like Jackson was leaving and Parrott was coming in as the replacement. Now, as we sit here at 8:30, that's not happening. If he's coming in to add to a fit Jackson and a fit Norwood, I'm a little bit more happier about it. However, is it too much to ask, Rich, that our football clubs are asking the same questions I am on a Monday morning after a draw? Is our season in jeopardy? Yes. How do we save it? We need a striker. But
that's something I was saying, that we're so backwards or really, really slow about any decisions or working anything out.
Daniel Barnard says, I hope Parrott shuts a lot of mouths up and work up. You're worried that Town might start winning and Lambert stays. That's the problem. If you think that's the problem from my point of view, you've not been paying attention to my show for the last 6 months because I'm not worried Lambert stays.
Get the poster out.
I've got a fucking poster of the bloke.
Yes, top man.
If this man turns it around and wins back-to-back promotions, I'll look at a fucking, Mystic Meg.
But you'll see people on social media saying it's a decent signing because our kids are not ready. They're not good enough. If you never play them, how are you ever going to find out?
Yep.
How are you ever going to find out? It's like...
This is the first season Dazell's been, in the team for a solid amount of games.
It's like you say, Martin. Young players, their form goes like that. We're not expecting miracles, but you have to play them to find out. It's like Jack Lancaster. He's linked today to Salford, and a lot of people on social media, they're not very happy because, personally, I think Luke Thomas, I've seen him in 2.5 games. He's not really done it for me. Jack can do that job. You're filling your team up now with someone else's players, and we are stunting the growth of our own. And we're not going to sit here and say that all of our kids are good enough because they're not. They're not all going to be good enough. But unless they're given a chance in our first team, we are never going to find out because we're going to need them all next season. When all these loan players go back, the manager goes, we're going to be Dobras, your Lancasters, your McGavins. We're going to need all of these kids.
Absolutely. Joey Duncan, Jack is better than Thomas.
Yeah, I'd much rather start Jack Lancaster over Thomas. Thomas is here for a matter of months. Jack's one of the future players of the team. He's proven what he can do. He's fit. Why isn't he playing?
And this is it, right? The Troy Parrott signing for me is almost a signal that we're kind of hoping we get in the playoffs, but we're not expecting to, or we're certainly not panicking that we're not, and making big bold moves such as the Stewart signing was in 2000 to ensure that we achieve our expectation. That's what I'm viewing it as. And then you got the other shoe on the foot, and you're thinking, well, in that case, why is Lancaster not playing ahead of Thomas? Why are we bringing in Harrop and not playing Idrizel Mizani, etc.? Now, I'm going to bring a few people in as we go. That's their opinion. Whatever their opinion is, good or bad, we'll put it on. So if you want to say Troy Parrott is the next Harry Kane and tell us why you rate the signing, get yourself on the show. If you want to tell us you don't like it, again, you're more than welcome. I will never, ever shy away from putting anybody on this show. So that's the link in the chat. Let's bring on the first man. We've got the fisherman. And then I've got Stephen. Stephen, if that fire alarm goes off within 10 seconds of you coming on, I'm kicking you off. So take your battery out of it, will you?
Steve the beat man.
Steve
He was
Roadrunner.
on the mains.
Well, in that case, Neil, get yourself round there. Unplug the bloody thing, will you? Fisherman. Troy Parrott.
Do you know what? Yesterday when I came on the show, I was like, "This is last chance saloon for Lambert, isn't it? Surely." I say, go ahead, do what you're doing, Lambert. Carry on, bring these players in, do whatever, because it's just going to come back and bite you in the backside. It's going to bite Evans in the backside. When you've got players like Lancaster who should be starting and should be playing a more sort of productive role within the squad, and you're there's like rumours about him going to Salford. Who runs Salford? Who owns Salford? They must see something in Lancaster that we're not. They're experienced. They're experienced top end Premier League, European Cup winning owners that run that club. If they want Lancaster, they must see something that Paul Lambert's not.
Look, Mike, Jack. I want him to play in our first team. If he's not going to play, I'm all for him to go to Salford, play 20 games. Play week in, week out, and improve. He should be in our team. Personally, that's what I think. But if he's not going to get picked, and he goes there and rips out and plays 20 games, hopefully we're going to benefit next season.
Yeah. Well, this is it. And Ben Moore said we should have gone for Jeff Carty, etc., like we did with Stewart, because I think Ben's living in the Darren McAnthony world there, Mike. If you get one of those two lads for 500k, they could be worth double that.
Well, the problem is what you're saying, Rich, is absolutely spot on. If he's not getting games and Salford want him, go there, get some game time. But the problem is, what happens if he decides to stay there? We've lost.
He's got a contract,
potential...
Mike. No, he's got a contract.
Yeah. Oh, come on, them boys can afford to pay that money. They've got a better backing than we've got with Evans.
But then, but in that case, you cash in and you get a nice fee for it. I agree with Crunch. Look, potential doesn't get fulfilled sat on a bench. Never has done. Never will do.
That's why he should be playing.
But he's not. And whether we all want him to on this show. I mean, he's like an adopted player of ours on this show. We speak so highly of him, but we can't pick the team.
He hasn't quite been the same since his back injury, though, has he?
I would say he hasn't played in the position that he played, Neil, when he came in the team. He was on the right-hand side, cutting in. You see that goal he scored against Millwall? He cut in off the right, curled it left foot. And I think at the minute, that's his best position. Has he played a run of 10, 12 games on the right-hand side? No, he hasn't.
There's a promising youngster at Spurs.
The yard of pace, though.
Called Anthony Georgiou. Shall we try him again, says a Facebook user.
No.
What I'm more annoyed with is Lambert at the beginning of his reign here. Oh, we're not going to go down this road of loads of low knees. And what's he gone and done? Gone completely against what he said he'd do. And
I've just read it.
Did you so angry?
Did you hear what I just read out, Mike, about when he said in August 17 about he didn't want to fill his team with sexist? And now Martin said it before. He's a manager in survival mode, and he is now.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, the poo is running out of his backside, and you can smell it all the way to the East Coast.
Yeah. Oh, look, he's in win now, survival mode. This is do or die time, and he knows it. And you got to hope. Thing is, though, you're in that sort of, as Daniel said earlier, as a fan, you got to hope, haven't you, that he gets lucky. Troy Parrott suddenly, because let's face it,
McCarthy did. McCarthy was in survival mode, and he would never play any of our youngsters.
No, and he's not going to this time, is he? That's why he's brought Parrott in, etc. But every player's got to start from somewhere. Even Harry Kane started as a young player on loan, having never scored a goal.
Yeah, he was at Millwall, he was at Norwich, he was at Leicester, and he didn't exactly set the world alight when he was there.
which doesn't fill me with confidence in the sense of those teams weren't helped by Harry Kane. So that's not a great sort of comfort
A lot of it comes
blanket.
down to player positions, though, doesn't it? You're like
not
Rich, you
this
said.
again.
Look, we
If I hear 4-4-2, I'm banning you.
Yeah, I don't like 4-4-2. I like 3-5-2. Always have done.
That's fine.
Like Rich said, playing Jack on the right-hand side in a run of games, I genuinely believe he'd offer more than what we've got now. I've yet to see anything from Thomas that I would say, yeah, he's better than what we got. No, he ain't. Kenlock, I called that, and everybody started taking the rip at me about that. Who was man of the match?
We're losing you.
Sorry, yeah. Who was man of the match at the weekend?
Kenlock.
Oh, you want to kick those kids off their Xbox, Mike? We're losing you. You've got to kick those.
That's her. She's watching her YouTube.
She's watching us.
She's got to be watching
you
us,
now.
Absolutely. Right, Mike. Appreciate you. Really do.
Anyway.
Very quickly, Mike. This window, if you on a grade of A to F, A being the best, F being a foul, where would you put Ipswich Town's transfer window at?
D for desperation.
D for desperation. All right, love it. Welcome in, Last Chance Saloon. If that alarm goes off, you're going out. Simple as that.
I've shut my living room door so it's quieter.
Last Chance Saloon.
I've tried to take the battery out, but it won't let me.
No, I'll send Neil round. He's an electrician. He'll make sure you sort it out.
No,
What's going on, Steve?
I'm all right. I think this is pretty smart by Marcus Evans. I know people dig it. I'm not a big supporter of Marcus Evans, but business-wise, I think this is very savvy by Marcus Evans. What he's done is he's backed his man with players. Yeah? We don't agree that the loans, I don't agree that the loans, but he's backed his man with players. You know, if it goes tits up, he can get him out of there, and the new man that comes in will not be hampered with somebody else's players. For me, that's a smart move. Because otherwise, Paul Lambert could buy all sorts of people the next man doesn't want. You know? So he's loaning them in, knowing they'll go. If we go up, and it does work, Evans is going to have to get his wallet out, at least for one season. He's going to have to. Because we will be so poor, we'll have nothing. You know, chance of staying up will be zero. So he has to. But I think Marcus Evans has done it, so it looks like he's backing his man, but also he's covering his ass just in case it doesn't work. It's
a very good point. As the Lank says, good point, Steve. I think it is a good point. I don't know how Lambert will be sleeping tonight.
Not very well.
Because if I went into my chairman today and said I want a striker, back me or sack me, and I ended up with Troy Parrott, I don't know how I'll be sleeping. Because as Steve said, it's kind of all right, I've backed you enough that the outside world says, well, yeah, you gave him players. But is it a real backing crunch?
Who chose him?
Well, this is it. Who did choose him? Who knows? Maybe Leo Neal's been busy.
Possible clue, because I've got involved in this. We don't know.
I've had people tweeting me today saying he's an incredible talent, Troy Parrott.
I've heard he is.
So is Freddie Adu.
Yeah, but I've talked to a couple of Tottenham lads and I'm well impressed with them. This is from under 23s, obviously, but that changes things. For me, I'd have said Premier.
But my issue with that is, Steve, I sit here every match day and get told how wonderful Armando Dobra is. I don't think it's true. But fans would tell me, if someone signed at Dobra tomorrow, fans to a penny would say, he's this, he's that, he's brilliant, he's brilliant, he's brilliant. And I'm not sure Brighton fans would enjoy what turned up. Because
if you looked at him against when we played Gillingham, he was the brightest spark on the field. They will do it now and again. When you're young, you need to get the consistency. You're not going to do it week in, week out.
What do you say, Martin?
You know, against Gillingham, he was our best player. When he was in that number 10 role, he terrified him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's definite growing pains with any young player, and that's a nice little segue into Luke Matheson, the right back. How do we feel on that one first and foremost? What is the water temperature on that? Are we happy with that loan signing? Are we disappointed? Obviously, the guy's a Norwich fan. I'm sure no one will hold him against that in this chat. How are we feeling, guys?
Well, our players don't want to go and play for Norwich, do they? Well, Dyer doesn't anyway. So at least their players want to play for us.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah,
I'm not
overly disappointed with it. I think it could be okay.
I
Not
like
going
this.
right back, so
I like
I'm happy to reserve judgment, and just
Yeah.
if he comes out and looks a really lively player and does more than what we've already got in our team, then I'm absolutely chuffed. But if we've basically got the same old shite out there, then it was just a pointless signing.
I've seen him play. He's a good player. He is a good player. He made his debut when he was 15. He's played for, I think, England under 17s, 18s. Obviously got his move to Wolves. Then they loaned him back to Rochdale. He's a good player. Who cares that he's a Norwich fan? That doesn't concern me. I know it concerns you, Martin. You're not that happy with it. But where does that leave Vincent Young? Does that say he's not going to be fit this season?
I've heard he's had a setback.
that just stinks of a setback for Vin. He's a new Adeyemi for us, isn't he?
But where's he going to play Chambers now? Does Chambers go into the middle?
Well, that's my worry. Because
But isn't he one of these where he's more of a right midfielder than he is a right back?
No,
Matheson? Yeah, he has played right. Yeah, he did play right midfield for Rochdale.
you wouldn't think he'd play there for us because of Edwards, Thomas, Lancaster. There's a number of people ahead of him on that position. My issue for the young lad being a Norwich fan is I'm going to sit here on a match day and I can write you the script now if you want, Crunch. What's going to happen?
His dad was a Norwich fan and he took him.
But he will make one mistake, or he will appear to.
I've got no concern.
Not right now. It doesn't concern you. But I will sit here on a match day and I will have people come on and tell me how he shouldn't be playing because he's a Norwich fan, like the way Andy Marshall played for Norwich. No, you say nonsense right now, but even Paul Lambert still gets the whole budgie thing. The moment it goes wrong, it's always a risk when you're associated with a rival club. That's just my opinion, and we'll wait to see if that is true. My bigger issue with it is what Steve was saying, and what I've been saying all year. Young players have dips in form, they have rises in form. They're not consistent. Luke Wolfen is a young player. We forget that, but he's a young player. He's currently going through what I would call a development growing pain. So he's developing, but he's also having some dips in form. So what are we going to do? Drop him and immediately half his transfer value and hurt any future potential for Luke Chambers to play centrally or Matheson to play right back, who's not going to be here next year.
But are we going to drop him? Are we going to drop him?
Well,
It does. With Matheson here now, it leaves the way open for a 3-5-2. Yeah, with Miles Kenlock at left wing back, Matheson at right wing back.
Where's Steve? Where does
James,
that leave Luke Thomas, and where would that leave Gwion
Josh
Edwards?
Harrop. And Josh Harrop.
Josh Harrop can play in the 3 as a number 10.
So you're leaving Bishop, Andre, Downs. There's too many options, Steve. There's too many options.
You drop your 2 wingers. At the end of the day, Thomas has been doing nothing. Yeah, what's Edwards done since he got them few goals? Nothing. They're not cutting up the daisies. We are where we are because they're not creating.
Luke Thomas, I don't think he's played that well, but you're not going to bench him after 2 games.
No.
You're not going to. He's come here to play games. He's not come here to sit on the bench. None of these loan players have come here to sit on the bench. I know we've got 6 now. It's probably Keenan Bennett's is going to be I know he's injured at the minute. I don't know how far he is away from playing, but I think all the loan players, you've not signed them on loan to come and sit on the bench. They've come to play in the first team.
I get what you're saying, and I'm giving you my opinion. Do I think Paul Lambert will go 3-5-2? Do I hell as like? I think he should.
Can I just make sure my producer clips this? Because if Lambert plays 3-5-2, Mike Brown will run down his street naked. And I want to make sure Matthew Phillips, my producer, clips this up because this needs to be done.
All I'm saying is, I know it would be unfair on Edwards, it'd be unfair on Thomas. But at the end of the day, we're in a bad run, we need to turn it around. If that means making changes to the formation, so be it. That would be my opinion. Yeah?
Okay, yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, he's probably going to have a completely different opinion, go 4-3-3, and everything's going to be the same. Will that bother me? Not really, because it's probably not going to work. You're going to get the one striker isolated. We'll get like 5 points from the next 5 games, and then Marcus Evans is going to say, I backed you, better off. You know, so
Okay.
either way, I don't care.
All right, Steve, appreciate you. Look after yourself and sort that battery out. If not, I'll give you Neil's number. He's very competitive rates. Sid, change that name and I'll bring you in. Lewis Snow, welcome in. It's a Monday evening family show, mate. We can't be having names like that on coming up. Lewis, welcome. So Steve mentioned Matheson. We've been talking about Matheson there. Do you see him coming in to play right back? And if so, Does that mean Chambers is on the bench next to Lambert, starting his coaching career, or is he playing centrally? And if so, who you drop in? How are we going to configure that?
I know. I think he's not going to bring him in just to sit on the bench. I think he'll put him at right back, but will he play right back, right wing back? Tough one. Chambers is one of those undroppable, isn't he?
Shouldn't be, but he is. It appears
That's
to be.
frustrating, because if his logic is should be the same thing with Stephen Ward, because he's saying that you can't have Stephen Ward, who's a similar sort of age, playing Saturday, Tuesday. Obviously, Wardley's form hasn't been great. You can't keep Chambers playing every few days.
If you take Chambers out, say you play Matheson right back, Kenlock left back, 2 young centre backs in the middle. There's no experience there in the back.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, fair point.
Yes. I'm saying Chambers shouldn't be dropped because I don't think he's been playing very well.
That's the thing, though, isn't it? The 2 most senior defenders have been playing awfully.
I don't think he'll play, Matheson. I don't think he will. If he plays more than 5 games, I'll eat my hat. I don't see it. Honestly.
What's the point? What's the point then?
Well, I think the point is what Kevin Ellis says here perfectly. He got rid of Donatian, expecting Vincent Young to come back. Vincent Young breaks down. Obviously, that's not confirmed. That's what has been said to me. And then realised he has no cover at right back. This loan comes out of nowhere.
He's not played no football for 15 months. If we were expecting him to come back and hit the ground running, that's real poor management. He had a right back at the club. Why didn't you just keep him? It was simple.
Yeah. Would you rather take a risk on Matheson, or would you keep Donatian and play him? I'll probably keep Donatian.
Well, I'd like Donatian. While you're
I think I'm the only one here that doesn't.
He's good enough for cover. But it does raise an interesting
It's
point, doesn't
expensive
it?
cover.
Yes, but he's a cover that we own and we've got an investment on. And Matheson at right back. See, somebody said Michael Finch. Matheson at right back, Chambers at centre half with Wolfie and Kenlock at left back. If that was your back four, Lewis, would you be happy with that?
In a way, but you're thinking the pace of you just think Chambers' pace. He's just lost it. He sometimes he gets away with it at right back, but a centre back, no.
Martin's quicker than Chambers.
I certainly am. Especially on my mobility scooter, without a doubt, mate. 8 mile an hour that thing gets up to. All right, little Gary boy on it. How about Troy Parrott, Lewis?
When I saw the linkers up, I was when I saw in links, obviously with that Swan from Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
I think with Parrott, I know that Swan has got more goals in. He would have come to us and he's been his first spell in the Football League, but with the Parrott, I think it depends what system. It's all a system, isn't it? Like you think if you play him up front, is he not tall? I'm not sure. Is he 6 foot? 6'1" maybe. Give
me a second. Keep talking amongst yourselves, and I'll find out for you.
Well, I think he's 6'1", isn't it? See, the thing about we're going back to Chambers there playing. See, if on Saturday
6'1",
I see Matheson playing right back and Wolfenden's out the team, I'm not going to be happy because it should be McGuinness who drops out. But then if McGuinness drops out, who'd you play on your left centre back? Because you've got Chambers and you've got Wolfenden who are both right-footed, and that's sort of there's a little bit of imbalance there, isn't there?
Yeah. One's got to drop. Obviously, while Harrop's not available, you're okay. But once Harrop's back, because there's 6 loans.
He'll be back Saturday.
Well, in that case, there's 6 loans. You can only have 5.
Bennett's is injured.
Of course he is. He's such a rememberable player that I completely forgot that he was injured, which kind of sums up why we've brought in Harrop and Thomas in a way, because we haven't been creating goals, haven't been.
Why
making
is he still
assists.
on our books as such? If he's injured, why haven't we just sent him back?
Cruncher.
That's
a good question, isn't it?
Look, he's probably not got a serious injury. We could say, why is Cole Scouse still on the books? Because he's taking up a bloody place in the salary cap. And he's nowhere near playing. That is an absolute joke.
The lack of creativity around this salary cap has really sort of been disappointing for me. Like they've just sort of dug their heels in and said, we've got no room in the salary cap. We're not going to try and be flexible with making room in the salary cap. We just haven't got any. It is hiding behind an excuse to the extreme. It really
lose a goalkeeper. I think
you could lose both. You wouldn't notice. Let's be honest. Put a ball in a box and hope you don't come for it anyway. He's 6'2", or probably bigger than that. How big is he, Crunch? Because you had a fight with someone about this once.
I would have started with what was a little. Is he 6'7"?
He's
Or did he
6'7".
I think he's 6'7", yeah.
Thomas Dracula, they should start
I
calling him.
said
Right.
6'9", and I got schooled by an 8-year-old.
You did. Lewis, appreciate you, buddy. Look after yourself. Sid, welcome in. I'll bring Sid in. What do you make of Parrott? Matheson, not on the face of it, 2 players that could help a squad, but are they coming in to help or coming in to save a season?
Just coming in to help, I think. You could have a striker that scores 20 goals and he still won't score for us because he won't give him the service.
But isn't that what Harrop and Thomas are here to do?
One of them's yet to play. He's still out with COVID, I believe.
He's back Saturday. He'll be
He's
back
back
Saturday.
Mike D, Thomas, holy fucking shit.
And I couldn't have my name, but that can go on the screen.
I like Mike Sid. I'm joking. I love you as well. I love you, Sid. I love you. I wouldn't say that joke if I didn't.
Well, I forgot what I was saying now.
Madison and Parrott, what do you rate the 2 signings?
Oh. Well, my boss is a Spurs fan, and he has not stopped going on about Parrott all day. So I'll give him a chance. Let him kick a ball first.
He's been chirping up, is he?
That comment there about Scouse has earned some loyalty by the club. What is it then? A retirement home? Nah, piss off. Get rid of him.
Anything.
Exactly. He's not playing. He's not fit. He's taking up a valuable... Oh, dear. That's nonsense.
He only scored 1 goal.
It does.
Two.
He got one against Preston. Big deflection. I think they give it to him.
I think, no, to be fair to that Facebook
He's probably only got 4 in his whole career.
It is a little.
2 of them against Burton.
To be fair to the Facebook user, that is a fair point, right? And as Lee Anderson says, he'll still get paid, and he will get paid. He just won't be able to play games, and at the moment he can't play games because he's injured. But isn't that more of an overall symptom of Ipswich Town Football Club, that we are sort of a retirement home? We are a nice guy. We are we're just too nice. That's Ipswich, cuddly, friendly.
It's where players come to wind down.
Chill out.
It is.
Scouse should have been gone because realistically, are we going to see him in a Town shirt again? Because it's the last year of his contract, isn't it? And then you've got so many more younger players who are now coming back and looking better. I mean, when he's not banned, obviously, like Bishop, for example. You've got players who can easily start over him every day of the week. So there's no point keeping him around.
Surely it's a motivation, though, isn't it? If you're not in Cole Scouse's case because he's injured, but if you're Emir Hughes and your gaffer tells you we're not registering you for the next round of the League One fixtures because of salary cap reasons, I'd be instantly on the blower to my agent saying, I don't care what offer you get me out of here because I want to play games. Surely. I want to play games of football, otherwise I'm not going to earn that next contract in the summer.
But he's a prime example. He's still on a championship contract, Martin, and he's going to get nowhere near that money when he gets his next club, is he?
Well, he won't do, not playing.
Look, he should go and play because he's not going to play in our first team. I tweeted out today, I think Emir Hughes he's been using that Just Eat app on his phone, hasn't he? Because he has looked like he's bulked up a bit.
Well, perhaps he's been in the gym with Miles. Because Miles has been in the gym, must have been lived in that gym. That's some serious, bulk on him, isn't there? You all said he was chubby when he came on the first time, but then Saturday you could tell it wasn't chub.
I didn't say it was chub.
Well, there you go. Right, we'll bring Mark in. Mark, welcome in. Somebody on Twitter, well, myself, but also Renegade Statman said, we may as well shut the academy. Do you agree with that? Is it time we shut it all down, save the £2.5 million or whatever it is to run it? Or is there still hope for Ipswich Town's academy to play a part in its future?
I think the only side that I can sort of think off the top of my head that's done well without an academy is Brentford. And we could go down the Brentford route, but Ipswich is built on academy players playing football the right way. Currently, we're not doing any of those. So it's a reasonable question to put to everyone, but I suppose at the same time, this is what this club is based on, and clubs are based on traditions for me. So no, I wouldn't scrap it at all. because we've had some gems come through, and we've still got some gems coming through as we speak. But it's just giving them the game time. That's the main thing.
But
If you
further,
don't have an academy,
their recruitment's a lot better Brentford than us.
that's what I was going to say. If you haven't got an academy, you need brilliant recruitment. Get those players in that for cheap and that will improve over time. We're no good at that. Well, you can tell via this transfer window.
yeah, there's a lot of truth in that. I was just Brentford's a different model, and it's been run a different model for a long time, and it's difficult to sort of compare us to them. But if your child,
And it's sad though, Martin, that Brentford, I remember Brentford when we were playing them, we were a Premier League team, we went there in the League Cup, and now they're miles ahead of Ipswich Town.
yeah, because but as Mark's got a fair point when he says about they still can play a part, and there's some good players coming through now. Whether they're getting the chance or not is a second question. But if one of your children had a chance to go to Ipswich Town, take your Ipswich Town hat off for a second and put yourself in the dad's role, and you had somebody else offering your child a scholar place, would you look at Ipswich Town and say, yeah, do you know what, there is a clear pathway of development from entering the academy, going through the youth ranks, hitting the first team, and you're given a chance? Or would you say, do you know what, this club...
You know where I'd rather send if one of my kids was... Look, two of my lads played football. They're not a bad standard. You know where I'd send them if they had the chance? Norwich.
Jeez.
They'd go to Norwich. They would, seriously, because Norwich have got great centres all over East Anglia, Cambridgeshire. They're everywhere, picking up these players. Ipswich, I was chatting to a guy called Maxi on Twitter in the week, and his son was at Sudbury. That's all been... They're cutting costs all over the place. Ipswich Academy. You know, Norwich, you've only got to look at Norwich. Look at the youngsters they've got coming through there. Max Aarons, you've got Campwell. They're reeling them off. Ipswich, we're getting left behind by them.
But Sid, doesn't that make it even more imperative that you give your Simpsons, you give your Browns, you give your Ben Morrises, you give your Jack Lancasters, you give those young players the chance in the first team? So parents of kids who are signing papers this summer can say, do you know what, I can see a clear pathway. I can see how it goes from children through to men's. Because Norwich are on the doorstep, and they're competing every single player, because they can stockpile players.
Didn't we mess up our academy anyway?
Yeah, the categories changed, didn't they?
Well, we were offered a category. We went for category 2 under Clegg, if memory serves me correctly. And then the fans said, we're not happy with that. So then they reversed it, but then I think they made you pay some money for it, if I remember that correctly. I've been asked to pay so many £10 direct debits. There was a £10 direct debit where you paid into the academy, and then if we got promoted, you had a season ticket that was cheaper or something along those lines.
And then there was the Blues Foundation they used to have. I don't know. There's so many, isn't there?
But isn't it? Go on.
Sorry, I think you've got to take it right back to the beginning, where Rich sort of touched upon it a little bit, where there isn't any community now. With Ipswich Town, there's no community. There's no coaching in the schools. Whether it be Ipswich or the wider areas. I live in Colchester, and there's nothing to do with Ipswich around here. It's all kind of like Norwich or whatever else, because they're getting into the schools, they're getting these kids, and they want them to play for their club. And that's what, and it's even supporters as well. You think about the next generation of supporters for this club, they're not going to want to come to Portman Road and watch absolute turge. Do you know what I mean? You've got to have it from a player point of view and a supporter point of view, and that's where you need to get back in that community. And Paul Lambert, the only thing he ever did and said at the time was that he wanted to get back into that community because there was nothing that Marcus Evans was doing there. Mick McCarthy wasn't interested. Paul Lambert, I thought, was interested. Doesn't seem to be interested now. That's where it needs to be. This is what I said on Saturday as well. I don't see where this club is going under Marcus Evans at all.
It is a bit of bafflement, and this just sort of sums it up. Then it's crunch, with backing a manager that seemingly Sunday at 3:30 was dead in the water when we came off air.
Well, are we backing him? Look, the club might have done. I don't think the supporters. Look, I'm not changing my mind.
No, but the club are. But the club.
It's a last desperate throw of the dice, isn't it? from Lambert. Because I tweeted earlier, Martin, I know people didn't agree with me. Now, with all these loads of signings, we have got the best squad in the division. There's no excuses.
The thing for me is that we've been talking about this whole academy thing, and that's got nothing to do with the manager as far as I'm concerned. The club could sort that, what schools they're going into, where they're basically the media is pushing to get young kids in. It's that's got nothing to do with the manager.
Yeah,
the club should be sorting that.
Marcus Evans should be sorting that. That should be coming right from the top, right down to the bottom.
And all of these other clubs that are pushing in on our area, they should be pushed out.
Yeah. But Mark said there's no community, and I think that also applies to the footballing community. There's no community in football anymore. If you're a big club, you can set up whatever you can set up. You can stockpile players, and you can go around hoovering up all the local players, and then at the age of 18, when it's professional or not, you can just release a load. You know, like look at Chelsea, for example. You know, they've been doing it for donkey's years. Just they've got more players out on loan than I think we've had in our whole squad, if I can pull that statistic up right. But yeah, it certainly should be somebody's job. And if Marcus Evans is too busy to do it himself, then Leo Neal. If Leo Neal's not good enough, it should be somebody else.
Leo Neal for me is just a mouthpiece, though, isn't he? He's the mouthpiece like Simon Clegg was, like what's his name, Milne was as well.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're
doing. In that case, I'd apply for the next role then.
Yeah, I could do it. I could do it. Anyone could do it because Marcus Evans is not a football man at all.
Surely, investing in the academy, from Marcus's point of view, would benefit him because then, if that goes successfully, he then makes money back off that when we sell that player on for £5-10 million. You'd have thought, as a businessman, he would want to invest in young players.
Well, I think he does in a way, Sid, because you've only got to look at Elkan Baggott. You know, he has secured him to a contract, but then you could be cynical and say he's got him tied down in a year. If he gets offered $5 million, he'll sell him. But that's just us as a football club, and that's how we have to survive.
Yeah, but if I was Marcus Evans this evening, that's maybe what I'd be thinking, actually, you know, because in the summer, Luke Wolfenden was being branded about how much were people saying for him? 5 million, 6 million, 4 million?
10 million last season. He said 10 million. Yeah.
You could be sitting here 4 or 5 days away from him being not even in the team, but Luke Mattison at right back, Chambers at centre half, and McGuinness. That's value diminishing week in, week out, and I'd be worried about that if I was Marcus Evans because that's my that was my summer investment plan. Sell a young player.
5-point plan. Where's that gone? That's gathering dust on your shelf at home, isn't it?
This is it.
The next one comes on.
Before I bring Callie in, Sid, rate our go on.
One thing, my battery's about to go, so you can replace me.
I'll drop you out as well. Sid, Neil, rate our transfer policy this summer, or this window, from A to F. No, Neil's gone. Sid, rate it.
I'll go with Mike, a D.
D for desperation. You gotta go the whole way, or
dismal.
Ooh, interesting one. All right, cheers, Sid. Callie, welcome in, my man. How you doing?
All good. How we all doing?
Yeah, you stopped breaking news.
Breaking news.
You know what I want to see? What I want to see is you two down the bottom there with them caps on to remove them. Come on, get
100%.
I said to you, when we beat a top 6 team, the hat comes off. The 5 head comes out, but no, not till then. Transfers, shit transfer window again. Decent one was the right back, in my opinion. I think Matheson's a good player. Seen him play for Wolves under 23s this year. He looks the part. He's obviously that's under 23s. He's better than Chambo. He'll go forward. I'm reading to that KVY's had another setback. I don't think we'll see any exits from the club, any more exits from the club today. And then, I know a lot of people have been hyped about that Parrott lad, the young striker or whatever. I ain't seen nothing from him. So Drinnan's got a better goal scoring record than him at the moment, so that doesn't exactly fill me with confidence.
Well, let me tell you what, because the media mogul has been emptying his little black book of contacts, okay? And he's got a little source for us. And this is what his source from Tottenham said. He's decent, good with both feet, can hit a set piece, and knows where the goal is. He's seen as the best young player to come through at Spurs since Harry Kane, although some think Marcus Edwards and Oliver Skipp are pretty good too. Had a bit of a tricky loan at Millwall, but should be good for you guys. So that's what a contact of the Moguls reckons. Now you've heard that, Callie, are you more confident, or are you just the same? You're still thinking...
Someone could write the same thing about Drinan. He's okay with his feet. He knows what the goal is. Almost Drinan.
Don't do that to me, I'm drinking a drink, Callie.
It's
I
all
want
about
to choke in a pint of water.
We could write anything about any of our players and make them sound brilliant. I think Sid or whoever said earlier, we can get the best striker in there, but there's no quality going forward. I know we've got Thomas and Harrop that are meant to change that, but Thomas, in my opinion, just Danny Rowe 2.0. I don't think he's better than Jack Lancaster, right? I think Jack offers more than Thomas in a couple of games I've seen. Harrop, I've seen him play in the Championship before. He looks okay, but again, how long is it going to take for him to get to that standard? And we're running out of games.
He's not played a game since, I think, Boxing Day come on for Preston. So he's had, what's he been doing the last 10 days? I know he's been isolating. Is he training in his garden? He's going to be nowhere near match ready.
He's just chewing his tobacco, isn't he, in his little tobacco tin. But it's just I don't see them being these kind of game changers that we're expecting. And it's just all it is a couple of signings. What it says to me is Lambert's going nowhere. Evans is giving him what he wants. This is what you think you can make work. The way the salary cap and all that's come into consideration with, the Parrott signing and Matheson signings, like the youngsters. It's just desperation. Mike summed it up perfectly. It's desperation. I think, if I'm being honest, having Matheson in there will make us a bit better, give us a bit more of an outlook going forward, especially with Miles on the left as well. And I think we'll be all right. And I do think we'll survive. I don't think we'll get relegated. So that's the positives I'm seeing there.
Jack Messenger, if he does come here, what does it mean for us, Callie? Because he won't be here next season and you're back to the drawing board, consistently having to reset every year. So fair point. 6 loan players, number out of contract.
You can have a new manager anyway.
Yeah. It's what we do every year, though. We always rely on loan players. When's the last time we had a decent permanent left winger?
Selena.
Permanent.
Oh, permanent? Well, you have to go back years because you'd had Selena, you had Fraser, you had Lawrence. Darren Curry. Williams.
And he could probably still do a job in this team now. But
he probably could because Darren Curry never played on pace in the first place. So, if his pace was never his game. It was always his ability with the ball. So, without a doubt.
And Evan saying, look, I'm back in the manager. Look, I'm back in the team. This is not going to be a top 6 team at the end of the league, at the end of the season.
Are you more or less you've said relegation, I know it's tongue-in-cheek, but Mark and Callie, question for you both. Are you more or less confident of reaching the top 6 after today? Are you more confident, less confident, or the same?
As Rich said earlier, there's no excuse. There is no excuse for us not to be at the very least in the top 6 come the end of May. And, whether you like these signings or not, I think they're decent quality. I think they're a bit of a panic sort of signings, but they're decent additions nonetheless. And I think we should at least be in the top 6 without a doubt, because he can't have any more excuses for it. COVID, it's not even an excuse anymore because there's other teams playing well.
Mm-hmm. Callie?
I don't. So I'm going to flip it the other way, which is if I look at our squad on paper at the beginning of the season, I thought, that's a top 6 squad with everyone being fit. The players we've brought in now, they're not better than the players we have. I know we've got injuries, but we're looking at, the difference in this league has been the front 3 in each team. Like Sunderland beat us, Peterborough beat us. It's been their front 3. Their midfield ain't better than our midfield. Our defence isn't that bad. We're not leaking that many goals, right? So it is down to our front 3. Now, off those front 3, I've got, we've got Parrott, who's untested, and I know there's a lot of potential, but there's potential with loads of players. Until they get in a few goals or whatever, then you say, okay, fair enough. Jackson, obviously out. Norwood's out for God knows how long. He's never seemed to stay fit. So we don't have any strikers. Wingers, I think someone said about purple patch for Gwion Edwards at the beginning of the season. He's going to take a while to get back, or is he just or has he peaked? And that's it. You're not going to see the best of him. What do we have on the right-hand side? So I don't see it. I honestly don't see us finishing top 6. I genuinely hope I'm wrong. You know what I mean? I want us to go up. I absolutely want us to go up. But
Okay.
I can't see it happening.
Right. And very quickly, because obviously I do believe they've backed Lambert, but yesterday it was reported on TWTD by Phil Ham, I believe, that Marcus Evans has had contact with various potential managers, and there was names given. I'm going to read the list of names. I want you all to tell me who you would want from this list. Paul Cook, the Cowleys, Nigel Pearson, Neil Harris.
Oh, Neil Harris? Fuck off.
I would give a body part for Pearson.
I said the Cowleys on the weekend. I said the Cowleys. I think if you look at the way we're set up, money, the way we're trying to bring players through as well, Cowleys have done that. So I'd go with them. I think Paul Cook's another good one as well. The other two, not so much. Not for me. I need that not for me t-shirt. Not for me.
Mark?
I think all three of those options are really good options, but by the time we actually sack Lambert, they'll be gone and they'll have other jobs because people have got them in the job. So, but I mean, you know, if I had to pick out of those three, I think I'd go for probably Pearson because you'd probably just give him a kick up the arse, and you know he's been around a lot, and you know I thought he had a decent spell at Watford despite him getting relegated, and a good manager. So yeah, Pearson for me.
Yeah, but he left before they were relegated. He left before the last game of the season where they could have survived. So, you know, but yeah, they did get relegated that year. Crunch, you've said Harris, not for you, but who is for you?
I've been Paul Cook all the way, but I think he'll go to the Championship. I think he's waiting. I know he's had Cardiff, he had Sheffield Wednesday, but they only offered him till the end of the season. He was on Sky today, said he wanted to get back in the game. I just think, look, Joey Barton there, Ben Moore, he would be a decent pick. But the Cowleys, I think, I agree. Look, me and Matt I've backed him on Twitter. I think with what they've done at Lincoln, and a lot of people say the football they played wasn't great, but we have to realise they were in the National League. You know, they took it from the National League, then to League Two. They had a style of football. They had a guy called Matt Reed who played up front, if you remember him, a big guy. I see him play at Cambridge. They didn't play the worst football. Matt's favourite player played for him, John Akinde. He was in there as well. But I think under the circumstances we're going to have, the salary cap, we're not going to have a lot of money. I think they would be the perfect type. Nigel Pearson, look, I wouldn't say no if he took over, but I don't think he'd come in. If he come in, I think he'd want the owner to spend money. I really do. And I don't think he'd come cheap. So for me, it's got to be the Cowleys.
Okay, Steve?
I would say Pearson for me out of all those. I was always Cook sort of earlier on, but I think Pearson. Whether he'd be able to convince, you know, like Crunch was saying, he'd obviously want Evans to spend money. Whether he'd be able to convince him to spend that money, I don't know. No one really has done. So I think he's more of a short-term fix maybe, but I'll take it. Yeah,
you see, people who know me know that I wanted McCarthy out with a passion, but when McCarthy left, I firmly believe we were a decent manager away from a really good team. I thought we had some good players in place. We just needed a couple of extra additions and the handbrake off, and we could be a good top 8 Championship side. Now, that was a complete wrong move, or was it? We don't know, because the silverware got sold and players came in that, well, Jackson, Donatian, not even here anymore, etc. So we don't know. But now you've got to look at your squad and say, well, it's not that anymore. We've got to get back to that. And Pearson would get you back to that. So while it's a short-term appointment, I don't mind 2, 3, 4 years being short-term to get me back to that point I was at, to right the wrongs and reset. And then you look and say, right, we've got back to that point. Let's now look for a manager who can take us forward and try it again. Or he takes you to the Premier League, because he is a McCarthy type, guys. But it's like Mark said.
It's like you said. At the end of the day, Martin, we can pick whoever we want. We've all got different selections. Yeah. Everyone's watching. It comes down to the owner. It's the owner at the end of the day. Yeah. He's the one. Look, we can all sit here and say we want Paul Lambert out. He's not a very good manager. I think we'll all agree with that. But it comes down to Marcus Evans. We had an owner 7 years. We didn't even know what he looked like. And I've got people today on social media saying, oh, it's the pandemic, you know, his business is suffering. Like Matt said yesterday, he's in the top 200 richest people in, like Piggott, like I said, 500k. Kirk from Crewe. What's the lad who's going to Lincoln from Colchester? The left back. Bramall.
Yes,
Luke
Kevin
Pennington.
Bramall.
He's going to Lincoln. He's out of contract at the end of the season. These are the sort of players that we need to get in and try and build something. If you're filling your team up with loans after loans after loans, we ain't going to go nowhere.
Loans is one thing, but then the way the club is run is the big thing. No matter if you have what manager you have in place, if you ain't got the sports science and your players are getting injured left, right, centre, if you've got an owner that's telling the manager he wants this certain way of tactics and this certain football, there's all that interference. So it's just
nonsense, Callie. That's nonsense because we got an owner here who don't know anything about football, and he's trying to tell the owner he wants to play in a certain way. If I was Lambert, I'd say, you stick to your business, Marcus. I'll concentrate on the tactics. Keep out.
Okay, right. Let's bring it. Let's move it on because it's all pie in the sky. Obviously, after he's been back, we believe today. So let's go on to something else. On this day in the year 2000, Marcus Stewart was signed for $2.5 million from Huddersfield. What are our favourite Marcus Stewart memories? Because that is a signing and a half. That is just to put yourself back in that moment, that's a clear sign of intent from the football club. It's almost the final piece of our jigsaw. They believed at the time, and it would go on to be true. It was. So what is your favourite Marcus Stewart moment of his time here? And how much would he be worth in today's market? Who wants to kick us off?
I think my favourite memory of Marcus Stewart.
You've got
Evans is leaving.
Yeah. Marcus Stewart was that when we was playing in Europe, he'd go out in his short sleeves with gloves on. I've never understood that. Never understood that at all.
But the club also cashed in and put gloves in the shop. These days, the club would take 4 years to get gloves that would match, and then it would stop. Have you? Of course, you have. You would. Have you got a favourite goal, Mark?
Well, I think it would be that one against Bolton in the semis, the playoffs. It was an unbelievable strike. So it would be that one for me.
I think just that there's that. So the playoffs, the semis against Bolton in particular, right? But then that whole Premier League season, seeing him, he was more or less, he was up the top, was top goal scorer almost. I remember going Anfield away and him scoring against them as well. These were the things that we had players that were playing with the big boys. We were rubbing shoulders and we were holding our own against them. Now we can't even beat bloody Peterborough, or you know what I mean. So I don't know. That's my memory. That whole Prem season with him.
Crunch.
I think, apart from Newcastle away, I think in the Prem, I think I've done all them games. I've done his debut at Barnsley when he scored. There was a goal at Liverpool.
A goal at Liverpool? You've downplayed that a little bit. Sammy Ippy has never been the same again.
Yeah, sold him. But I think Mark touched on with his gloves. I remember I went to Helsingborg away, and the third goal, his second of the night, where he come through and he just dinked it over the goalkeeper. Fantastic. Look, what a player. If you're saying $2.5 million, then I think I tweeted you this morning, Martin, you said between 7 and 10 million. And really, he was really unlucky not to play for England that season when he was scoring all them goals. He should have got a cap. He really should have done.
Think about the players that did, like Darius Vassell, Michael Ricketts, off the back of a really good goal. Yeah, but he did, though. He scored goals for Bolton and then got in the England team. Yeah. Marcus Stewart is really unfortunate not to have got in.
Yeah, definitely.
Stewart was
really
unlucky.
Both. Yeah, absolutely. Steve?
Miles head.
It's tricky. The gloves will always sort of stand out for me as well. It was a great look. And to be honest, I mean, growing up, I was maybe a bit too young to remember a lot of the sort of his time. I would have been maybe 6 or 7, I think, in that sort of Premier League season. But watching it back, he was fantastic. The goal at Wembley, brilliant.
Yeah, that was a great goal at Wembley. The movement alone turned Barnsley. Was it Morgan? He turned inside out in the penalty box for that goal. Absolutely beautiful goal. Liverpool for me stands out. There's so many Marcus Stewart moments.
The goal at Everton where he went through and he sort of went round. I think Unsworth give it away. He went round the keeper, round him again. Did a 1-2 off the defender on the line, and then just tapped it in.
Yeah. It's just wonderful finisher. His movement, as some have said in the chat, was just superb. The lengths that man could finish, Fowler-like, and it was just a mesmeriser. The sort of player that got you off your seat, and you. This is what we said at the weekend about when looking at the squad now. There's nobody there, even at this level, that you can say it's okay. We've got so and so fit. We're okay. Back then, if you had Stewart in your team,
I think the difference there is that obviously we now and probably previous seasons, there's not been the service there. And someone brought it up earlier. A striker needs service at the end of the day. Stewart had that service. He had Magilton, he had Holland, he had Roycer, he had all of those players feeding him. And that's what you want from a striker. That's what, as a striker, that's what you love. That's what you get up and do. You know, you put the ball in the back of the net because someone's put it in front of you or put it on a plate for you. We don't have that anymore because we haven't got those players doing that. We haven't got the Magilton to, dink it over, or the Holland just to pass it through.
When was the last time we had a striker that every time he got the ball, you thought he's going to score here?
Daryl Murphy.
Yeah, in that season. In that one season, yeah. Everything he touched. DJ Campbell before that, he had a purple patch with us, and you thought every time he got the ball, he scored a goal. But the goal at Bolton, where he's rounded everybody and just, the composure of the moment to steady himself, just second level stuff, really. Today's market, some have said 15 million. I've got a football inflation calculator that tells me 349% would to increase the what you paid for him. So that's where I got at least my basement figure of 7 million from. But it's modern football's bonkers. So you score 25 goals, Ross McCormack goes for like 12 million. So
also he's English. He's English, so English strikers will go for more.
Got the tax, didn't you? Yeah, you got the tax. Yeah. You're right. Yeah,
it'll be a lot more. And are we talking about if we were still in Championship buying a player, or are we in League One and now trying to buy a player? If it was in Championship, I think you're looking close to 15 million.
I think compared to a Premier League player today, he'd probably be on the same wavelength and probably team as well from when we were in it. It's probably Danny Ings at Southampton.
Yeah.
If you imagine him going for money, Stewart would probably go for that now. So he'd probably at least over 20 million, I'd say.
How much did we sell him to Sunderland for, Martin?
I want to say I want to say something really stupid, like 1.5 million. But hang on, I'm going to find out.
Yeah, it weren't a lot more than. I think it was less than probably that we.
I don't think we made a profit. I think we sold him at a loss. I could be wrong, but I thought we sold him at a loss.
That would be classic Ipswich Town, wouldn't it? Here we go. I can tell you in a sec. Ipswich 3 is. I know Sunderland sold Tor Andre Flo. There's a name. To bring him in. It doesn't say. I can't find the information to hand. But I can't. Like I say, I don't think it made a profit. That's for sure. Somebody knows in the chat. Let us know. 1.25 might be. I thought it was something really stupid like that. Just don't ask Marcus about taking penalties at Portman Road for Sunderland, will you? Because there was that one. Shut up! He missed it on purpose.
He didn't want to score at the North Stand end, did he?
He grabbed the ball.
Yeah, put it wide on purpose.
He was well up for it. All right, we're done. We're dusted. Talking Town Extra Time is in the books. The first one. Mark, Callie, Crunch, Steve, Neil, all the rest. Sid that's been on. Thank you ever so much. We're back Thursday for the Thursday preview. But until then, with love, with care, look after yourselves and stay well.
Hello and welcome to Portman Road. This sound indicates an important announcement.